welcome to We the People. 40,000 square kilometers of India, 2,000 police stations are under the control of Naxals. This past week, the West Bengal government made a deal with the Maoists to secure the release of a policeman. The Home Secretary of West Bengal even compared this swap to previous instances of Kandahar and the Rubaya Saeed kidnapping. But even as the Home Ministry is planning a major offensive to flush out Maoists from groups that they have control over, public opinion remains sharply divided. In fact, every debate on Maoists and the Naxal challenge fast descends into a polarized for and against. Today on We the People, we're debating, is a middle ground possible? Is a peace initiative with the Maoists either possible or desirable? That's our subject for the day. Let me start with Medha Patkar. Medha ji, I know that you have often condemned violence unequivocally, but one of the things that bothers a lot of people is that not everybody who calls themselves an activist today is willing to condemn violence. Every time the subject of violence comes up, they respond by talking about the violence of the state. Do you accept that there is actually no sane discussion possible unless there is an absolute, unconditional condemnation of violence?
Of course, as you said, I belong to the Biradari which condemns violence per se. Many activists and common people, the majority of them take this position because they are for peace and they are for life and livelihood. And violence from either side really kills livelihoods, the natural resources on. But the state violence cannot be excused because that in the form of the wrong development paradigm that is killing communities, that is killing the sources of livelihood, and that is leading to the more and more of armed struggle by people, which is also a result of the state not responding to non-violent people.
But can I understand what you're saying? You're equating an economic policy with state violence. Now, in economic policy, there are many different views on what a desirable economic policy should be. Why should an economic policy justify an armed struggle?
It shouldn't, but that is because the peaceful struggles which are for protecting the natural resources, for protecting the communities, with the mass basis, people's involvement is not responded to by the state. Because the state is hand in close with the corporates, with the international financial institutions and so on.
Okay.
And that's across the party regime.
Prakash Singh, as somebody who, for whom this is not academic, is there a middle ground possible? Or do you believe that when there is such a sharp schism of ideology, in fact, there is no middle ground?
A middle ground is possible provided there is sincerity from both the sides. In 2002 and 2004, peace dialogues were held in Hyderabad. Why they broke down, it's a long story, but I think there was lack of sincerity.
I've heard you actually say that a dialogue at this point would be a mistake because it gives an opportunity to the Maoists to regroup.
No, I'm saying middle ground is possible.
Yeah.
But now a stage has come. I think we have reached a point of no return. The Naxals are determined to prolong the area affected by protracted warfare. They are determined to continue their armed struggle and the kind of violence which they have been perpetrating. If you just examine the pattern of violence in the recent past, the killing of 17 policemen at Gadchiroli, the beheading of Francis Indawar, the Bandh which was organized in the districts of West Bengal, Bihar and Jharkhand, recently, three-day Bandh which was organized. Now all these incidents show unmistakably that the Naxalites are determined to push the accelerator on violence.
So for you, it's actually a question about the sovereignty, in a sense, of the state.
In a country, you can't have a state within a state. Yeah. You can't have a parallel army. The parallel army has to be neutralized. There's no getting away from this option.
All right.
Tuba.com